On today's show, we've got an exclusive interview with Václav Nestrašil, the 25th overall selection of the Chicago Blackhawks in this most recent draft, and we'll be discussing his most recent season that ended with a Clark Cup championship with the Muskegon Lumberjacks, what lies ahead for him next campaign at the University of Massachusetts, and just how much it meant for him to be drafted by Chicago.
You are Locked On NHL Prospects, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Hello, and welcome back to Locked On NHL Prospects, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. On this show, we break down everything for you, prospects related, Monday through Friday, 5 days a week. I'm your host, Sebastian High, the USA scout over at Elite Prospects, and we've been on a lengthy pause here, going back to just after the draft. I took a much needed vacation. I feel refreshed. I feel rejuvenated. And we have new ideas here on the podcast and new things coming your way. And today's episode is one of those, as we have a wonderful and long conversation with Václav Nestrašil, who, of course, was just selected by the Chicago Blackhawks and was my absolute favorite player in the USHL this past season, a league that I scouted all year long for Elite Prospects. And he was at the top of my board for pretty much the back half of the entire season. So getting to talk with him and get his perspective on how his season evolved was just fascinating. I know I learned a lot in this conversation, and I hope that you will too. But before we delve into everything, today's episode is brought to you by Monarch Money. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONNHL at monarchmoney.com for half off your first year. So the way that we're going to do this episode, it's mainly just going to be the interview itself, of course, but we have three different segments here. We're going to start off with the past season and really dig into that, culminating with that draft selection by Chicago. Then we'll move on to look more into his past, in his path to becoming an NHL drafted player growing up, the different adversity that he faced, and huge thanks to Hansa Zufal, my colleague over at Elite Prospects, who's put together a fantastic article. I don't believe it's been published yet, but I've gotten access to that has been really, really useful in terms of just gathering some information as well for my questions about his growing up as a player for Václav Nestrašil. And finally, we will wrap up the show by looking forward, looking ahead at this coming campaign, the things he's trying to work on and improve, and overall, what the expectations for him may be for his freshman campaign at the University of Massachusetts. But without further ado, let's just launch straight into the interview and chat with Václav. All right, so I am joined here by a very special guest, the very recent 25th overall selection by the Chicago Blackhawks, Václav Nestrašil. How's it going, my friend? How's your summer going?
Hey, how are you? My summer's been good. I've been enjoying it, and everything's good. Yeah.
Yeah, very happy to have you on here, especially since I watched a lot of your game tape over the course of the past year, as I have been scouting the USHL with Elite Prospects, and do have a little bit of bias here because you were my favorite player to watch this year in the USHL in terms of draft eligibles. I think if you add in non-draft eligibles, your teammate Tynan Lawrence has a little bit of a running there for you as well. But it was so much fun this year watching you grow with the Muskegon Lumberjacks. So first and foremost, just congratulations on the Clark Cup victory. I mean, what a huge accomplishment for you and your team there.
Uh, Thank you, thank you. It was good. The whole season went well, but I mean, the playoffs and the final is something I'm never probably gonna forget, and it's something I wanna, gonna look back and think about it. So it was a good ending to the season for sure.
You couldn't really ask for anything better than that. I mean, winning the championship and then being a first round draft selection at the end of that, like that's a pretty good cherry on top of a draft eligible campaign.
It is. It's a dream come true. So it was a good end for sure.
That's lovely to hear. So I wanted to like take us back maybe like a year's time where we're going to when you're coming back to the USHL. You played like I think it was 11 games in your first campaign with Muskegon. So you already got a sense of what it was like playing against that level of competition in the USHL. What was your mindset heading into your draft eligible campaign in terms of like the role that you were going to have on the team, the potentially like the production that you were going to be able to put up, as well as like your deployment, and all these things just kind of kept on growing as the year went on. So I wanted to ask how your mindset was going into it and how it maybe evolved as the year progressed.
I mean, I don't specifically remember what the mindset was at the start. I was lucky that I had those 3 months of the previous season into me, so I kind of knew what I was going into. Kind of, saw the guys and saw all that stuff. So I wasn't completely going blindsided to somewhere. But I mean, my mindset was just to battle for a spot, kind of see where I'm gonna fit and kind of see my position. My only downside to that was that I really didn't even know what type of player am I in that at the start of the season. That was something I had to work on, and that was something I kind of had to realize. And I kind of got to realize that throughout those, I don't know, 21st games, which was, was a slow start, obviously, but I think it's something that kind of maybe kept me going. It's something maybe that probably helped me at the end because I had a slow start, but we had a good coaching staff, and as the season went on, I around that 20-ish games, so my coach sat me down and we had a tough meeting, and he talked about me a few things, and he told me that I need to start playing physical hockey, which was the biggest thing for me because I didn't do it, and I took his word. I trusted him. I knew that he was right, and I kind of started doing all that, and it kind of started showing. All of a sudden I started getting points. I started getting better, and everything kind of came with that, and it kind of continued to grow throughout the season. So I was happy for that.
Yeah, like I think it's so interesting to hear your perspective on this as well, because from being on the outside looking in, and I was watching your progression over the course of the year, by year's end, I was seeing a player that very much knew his own strengths and weaknesses, and in terms of contributing in all facets of the game, whether it be the penalty kill or the power play, getting into the less fun areas to be on the ice, where things get more congested and a bit more physical as well. What aspects of what your coaches were telling you maybe like really got through to you in terms of elevating that physicality over the course of the season?
Uh, I think it was just the single point of doing it. I think that was the most important thing. I don't know if there's anything special to physical game. I think just to kind of get through myself and kind of push myself to do those things is the most important part. And I started doing it, and that kind of switched in my head, and I don't think there's anything I really changed specifically. It's those little things when you maybe when you're forechecking somebody and you kind of finish the hit behind the play, or you kind of see somebody and give him a bigger hit than you would normally go past him. So those were the little things I started doing, and as I said, it kind of got I got rewarded for that, and that helped me.
You really did. And I think another thing that may have like helped you as well throughout the season was the line mates that you were being paired with, because you grew a lot of chemistry with the players that you were spending the most time with. Talk to me specifically about your chemistry with Jack Galanick on and off the ice, and how that relationship helped you throughout the season.
It was good. I think it was good from the beginning because Jack was here last year when I came, and he was always kind of the fighting guy. He never had anything given to him. He had to battle for his spot last year, and he wasn't given too many minutes. And then he came through this season and was giving basically kind of the same spot. Obviously, he it was one of the he was one of the leaders, and so. But Jack is such a nice guy. He's such a great guy off the ice, and obviously he's going to UMass, so the connection was always there, and we always talked, and then we got to line together, and we played kind of all sorts of stuff together on power play. Then we probably played PK together for a bit too. I just think we got so much closer together throughout the season, and obviously, looking forward to UMass this year. And so to Jack, the connection was obviously there. He's a great player, and I think everybody can see that he can make plays. He's a smart guy, and that's something I needed in my line. And he's obviously a great guy off the ice, which is the most important thing. And so the connection is there. I hope it continues to go throughout those next few years.
For sure. And if you're willing, is there any like off ice story of you and Jack that you're willing to share?
Well, from the top of my head, I don't know if there's anything really. I would have to think about that one, but it's just I mean, I don't know. I don't think there's a specific one off the top of my head. If I had to think about it, I would probably get with something, but not as of right now.
No worries. But I wanted to move on and ask, it like in my viewings this season in the USHL, at least like if we're looking at like your game at year's end, because that was a very different player than how you started the season, right? As we've been talking about, very few other players in the league were able to combine physical intensity, creativity, and puck skills quite like you were able to in terms of being a very middle-driven creative force in the offensive zone. I wanted to ask, like, that balance between taking offensive risks when you have all these abilities while still being able to come back defensively and to play conservative hockey when you need to. How did you manage that? Because young players often do struggle with that balance, especially when the stakes get higher in the playoffs.
Uh, I mean, I think it's a part of me that I kind of always grew up with. I know my brother. He's a very, I would say, trustworthy as a player. So he's always the first guy back, and he always kind of gets likes to get back and kind of cover for everybody else. So I that's probably something I kind of got from him. So that may be one thing, but I think it's just realizing what the team needs the most and doing that. So I can I can make plays, I can make stupid plays in the zone, and kind of look back at it and tell myself like, did I do that? But I can also make good plays, and I can also get back and make plays there. So I think it's just realizing what the team needs, what's the situation on the ice, and when is a good thing to do and try something, and when is a good thing to just dump the puck and go change or stuff like that.
And speaking of like mature habits, I did want to ask about another teammate of yours last season, Tynan Lawrence, who may very well be a top 10 pick in the upcoming draft in 2026. I mean, I think in terms of like pure skill level and speed and skating ability, he's definitely up there in his age group. You mentioned in a previous interview with my friend Anthony Donati, the prospect Don, that if you had to pick one player from the Muskegon lineup to be like your forever line mate, it would be Tynan Lawrence. Talk to me about what it is that Lawrence does that elevates everyone around him so well.
uh I mean, Tynan has something. Tynan doesn't have something. He has everything.
Yeah,
That's probably the answer. That's what I'm gonna give you because he's 16. He's I think he's making the draft cut by like a month. So if he
yeah,
was born
exactly.
a month later, he would be a 2027, which is crazy for me. But he's so young. He's mature for his age. You can see that he's gonna be a captain at Muskegon. 16, 17 years old, which is crazy, but he deserves it. He has that mentality. He definitely is a guy who can do that, and that kind of shows you and tells you everything about him, really. And yeah, there's on the ice, you just can see him. He was the best player in our team for sure. I think everybody could see that. He was the difference in playoffs, which again for a 16-year-old is not something that's normal, and especially in a league like the USHL is. So
For sure.
uh, I always say him when somebody or when NHL teams ask me who would I bring with me. I always said him, and I always kind of gave it to him when I was talking to him throughout the day. Like, hey, I talked to our team about you, and he was like always, "Ha, like, thanks for that." But I mean, he's a great guy. He's an insane hockey player, and I think if the season goes well for him and for Muskegon, he can, push top 10, top 5 potentially. And then I hope that happens for him.
For sure. I mean, if he ends up going top 5 on draft day, he might owe you a meal or two for sowing the seeds already a year in advance.
Yeah, hopefully.
Fingers crossed. And I mean, you mentioned the playoffs there as well. And I did want to mention, like, there's nothing that actually forges a hockey player quite like the postseason, right? Like, it is the crucible where you are forced to learn, forced to grow, or you're going home, right? You played in all 14 games this season for Muskegon in the postseason, scored 7 goals and 13 points. Tell me about the experience of fighting as a team with your back against the wall in the first round when it was a three game series. You were 1-on-1. You're going into game 3 against Cedar Rapids, and whoever loses is going home. You end up winning that game and marching all the way through to the finals and winning it. What did the postseason teach you both as a person and a player?
Uh, I mean, I think it gave me a lot, and it gave me a lot of responsibility and a lot of maybe small things that I'm gonna maybe look back into and realize one day. But it kind of bonded us together, and that's why I think we won it. We were the fourth seed in our conference. We probably weren't, the team that everybody would say is gonna win it. I mean, we are going to the position that we didn't like, but we had to go there, and uh, I think I kind of saw in that game three probably was the first time that I kind of saw a team that wanted something to really happen, and we really bonded together, and we really played as one. Like everybody, like there was not a single guy on that bench who wanted to score a goal. They just wanted to win that game, and it showed in the first 10 minutes that we were winning for nothing or something like that. And it was those little small things that being a team and being a team player is more important than looking at your stats and playing for yourself. And that's what I think ultimately got us through. Because if you asked me before the playoffs, like secretly, I probably wouldn't tell you we're going to win it. Like, I'm not that type of person. Like, I was realistic with myself. I would say we were probably gonna fight for it, but that end result would probably surprise me too. But as I said, it gave us a lot. It gave us a lot individually, but I think it bonded us together, and it kind of created a family that we're hopefully gonna keep as a group of friends forever.
Absolutely. I mean, like going through the playoffs together and ending up on top, like that is a special experience to be able to share with a bunch of guys that you grew alongside for an
Yeah.
entire year there as well. But in the end, your season came out, it ended with like a storybook finish because not only did you win the championship with your team, but you ended up being drafted by the Chicago Blackhawks at 25th overall. And right after that selection was made, a whole bunch of pictures started making the rounds. I know your dad was sending a couple of those out of you in Blackhawks jerseys when you were a very young kid. What was that feeling like for you to end up being drafted by a team that you cheered for, or at least wore the jersey of in your youth?
Uh, it was a surreal feeling and a moment that I always wish was going to happen, but Uh, I mean, I cannot explain it. It was a feeling. It was a dream come true, obviously, and to be Chicago, which was even better for me because I was a huge fan of them. Growing up, and I always liked them during those smaller years, and that was also like one part of a draft is you want to be get drafted, but you also have some favorite teams, which you don't want to say to anybody else because I know there
Of
was a
course.
few people asking me like, where do you want to go? Who do you want to get drafted by? Who don't you want to get drafted by? I was like, I'm not gonna answer that question. Like, I don't want my karma to get like to get
For
bad or
sure.
yeah. So I just kept it to myself. I always kind of wanted Chicago because I liked them a lot, and when that 25th pick came by, I was hoping and the dream came true, so I was really happy.
It's so awesome to hear, and I mean, like for you as well, that must have happened right in the middle of the night, then, right? With time difference,
I think it was like 5:30 a.m. Yeah, something like that.
and like I think your older brother was like asleep, right,
Yeah,
Andre?
he was. He has three little kids, so and it was during the off season, so he was sleeping. But he called me right away, probably a few hours later when he woke up. So it was good.
It's a nice thing to wake up to in the morning, right? That's a good wake up call.
Definitely, yeah.
Yeah, it's a good way to do it. But your dad took the opposite strategy, right? Like he just like didn't sleep for ages.
I think yeah. I mean, if you saw a video of me reacting, you definitely saw my parents reacting, which was a
Yes.
complete opposite of me. I was just kind of getting into it myself. They were getting into the whole city right here. So, um, no, yeah, he was really happy. I think it was a not a dream come true because obviously he went through with my brother also, but I think it was some sort of a gift for him because he went through all of my previous years, which weren't easy for me, and he knew how hard it was, and he had to help me a lot, and he was probably the main person that got me through it. So it was a gift for him too, and I think that he got kind of relieved when that happened. So he probably didn't sleep for a few days. So yeah.
Alrighty, we're going to continue our conversation very shortly, but first, a quick message from our sponsors here at Locked On NHL Prospects. You just realized that your business needed to hire someone yesterday. How can you find amazing candidates fast? Easy. Just use Indeed. When it comes to hiring, Indeed is all you need. Stop struggling to get your job post seen on other sites. Indeed sponsored jobs put your post at the top of the page and help you reach the right candidates faster. I've been in that spot before where you've needed the right hire yesterday and the pressure is really on. Every day without the right person is a significant setback. That's exactly where Indeed sponsored jobs come right in handy. They make sure that your post is seen by the right candidates right now. Now you can speed up your hiring process with a $75 sponsored job credit. Just go to indeed.com/lockedon right now and support our show by saying that you heard about Indeed on this podcast. Terms and conditions apply. Hiring, Indeed is all you need. Let's talk a bit more about then those younger years that you just referenced as well, because like you've faced your fair share of adversity as well in your youth playing hockey, and I think like many other players, the COVID time specifically was a really tough kind of stretch, right, where you were kept away from the ice for a lengthy period of time, and if I'm not mistaken, it was like a full 18-month span that you weren't on the ice between COVID and then also the health complications of your growth spurt.
It was basically, it was the with a short ice stoppage is when I kind of went for ice a bit and just had to get off. So it was basically those 1.5 2 years without ice. Yeah.
Yeah, like I wanted to ask like about that time. What helped you get through it? Because I think like emotionally that must have been incredibly heavy on top of like the physical discomforts and pains that you had. And in hindsight, were there any like lessons that you were able to take from that that helped you in the future as well?
Well, I'm gonna start it from the beginning. It was definitely hard, but I think what kind of got me through it was that I was young, and I probably looking back at it, I probably didn't realize how tough the situation was. My parents obviously heard that I might not be playing hockey ever again, but I think they really did not want to tell me that story. They always were the opposite side, so they were always telling me to push through it, and I'm gonna get back and all that sort of stuff. And I probably was so young that I barely even realized that it could potentially, finish my hockey career, which would have been bad for me because hockey's basically all I ever had. And so I think, yeah, as I said, not fully realizing what's happening. That's what kind of got me through it. My mentality, maybe that's what I got from my parents, and what it definitely gave me a lot. I think, looking back at it, I wouldn't say I'm happy that it happened, but I would say it's something that kind of shaped me and kind of pushed me towards, because I had to dig a lot, and I had to work out way more than I was working out before, and I had to get back to everybody else. And it maybe gave me a factor of just being working harder than everybody else and trying to get back and got up to everybody, because I had a few years that I missed, and everybody that I was maybe on the same level of with, or I was better than them, they obviously got better than me, and I just saw them you know play national team and just getting better than me. And that was probably the biggest pain. Obviously, I wouldn't say the biggest pain was the actual injury. I think it was the mental side of seeing those guys getting better than me and playing more. And I think that's what kind of pushed me to get back and to get better. And that's the one part I'm glad that got into me.
And talk me through that process of like clawing your way back, where like all of your peers kind of surpassed you, and then in the end, you ended up being like, were you the first Czech drafted, or like second or third Czech drafted at the draft this year? Because like Riding
Well,
Murphy went,
Mertka was
yeah,
first. I mean,
exactly.
I
Murphy
was
went
the first
first,
forward, yeah,
but you
but
were the first forward, like Czech forward, right? And so you were able to really make up that gap by the time that the draft came around. But that must have been like a really tough like 4 or 5 years to make that back up.
yeah, I remember when I was coming back from that injury, it was around 15, 16. So U16 national camp started going, and it was the first time that our age group got into national team. And I remember the first camp it was a camp with 60 guys, and I was in one of them. And I remember I don't know I got that information, but I remember I was with my brother, one of my brothers, and it's kind of got through me to me that information. And I kind of saw that list, and I saw all those names that I was better than, back in the day, and I just wasn't in there. I was one of the best 60 guys in the in the country basically, which it hurt me a lot. I remember I was crying that day, and I kind
Mm.
of made that list of like, okay, which players am I do I think I'm better than now, and I crossed half of the list off, and through the next 2 years, I kind of started crossing other names off because I played against those guys and I kind of dominated them, or I played better than them. And it may sound arrogant, but at the end of the day, I'm 18 now, and I was the first drafted forward. So out of those 60 guys, I surpassed probably 59, and so that's the end of the story as of right now, and we'll see what happens next.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, I think one of those names that you may have been competing against in also like a friendly competition way would have been Adam Banak, a player that has definitely had a lot of like his fair share of the highlight reel in Czechia itself in the last like 5 years. He's been in the spotlight for a really long time already. How has that relationship helped spur you on to develop your own game? And perhaps what elements of Adam's game were perhaps the most like frustrating for you in terms of being like difficult to surpass?
Uh, I mean, Adam is a player I'm probably never gonna surpass in my head because he's just a generational talent, and obviously, if his size wasn't his size, he would be the
Yeah,
best. Uh, I would say probably in a draft, like he would be much higher, which is, I mean, it's sad, but
yeah,
that's what the cards are given. And so Adam was, he's such a nice guy. I mean, we're great friends. Our family are great friends. So our moms basically talk every single day, and we got information. And Adam was always a huge talent in Czech from 16 and from those Helinka Cups, which are going on right
yeah, of
now. I
course.
mean, that was his time when he surpassed all those records, and he always was the best guy on the ice. And so even from growing up when we were 12, 13, and we played summer league together, and just seeing him play at PV, and it kind of got up and up the national team, all that stuff. And now we were in the same league together as the rivals basically, because Youngstown and Muskegon. So we saw each other basically with playoffs too. I mean, 12 times, was it
Yeah,
11, 12 times? And it was always a special game against Youngstown because I obviously we're great friends, but I obviously want to be better than him in that game. So I always wanted to give it to him. So we actually made a bet at the start of the season who's gonna get more points in our games, which I think he ultimately won in playoffs. But I think it was like a 1 or 2 points difference between us. I was leading for a bit. I was surprised by that because Adam's Adam, but
yeah.
uh, he's he's an insanely he was always a good skater. He was always
Hmm,
better than everybody else at skating. His hockey IQ is something that I don't think many players have. He
for
also
sure.
kind of has a bunch of sorts of everything. The height is the only downside to him, but I think he's gonna be a great player even with his height because he has everything that's given to him. I know he's a hard worker. I know that's in his family, and I just wish him the best. I just wish him the best because I know he doesn't have a easy job to do. His path is probably gonna be hard, but I think he's gonna ultimately make it. If in the NHL or any pro leagues, I just wish him the best.
Absolutely, and I mean, I think he also ended up with a really good organization there with the Minnesota Wild. I think, like of all the places to have landed in the NHL, this is one an organization that I think could help him a lot. But like as you mentioned, like that combination of intelligence and work ethic and quick feet, like very unique player. Like I don't think anyone in the USHL played like him last year. Like he's really one of a kind. So
Yeah,
very interesting to hear your thoughts there on that friendly competition that you've had. And kind of I guess staying slightly parallel to this, you two were teammates on that Quebec Pee Wee team in 2020, where you ended up winning the championship. I believe you scored the game-winning goal in a 3-0 victory in that game.
I did. He
Talk me
passed me. Yeah.
you did pass you the puck on that play. Talk me through that experience because I think for so many youth hockey players, the Quebec Pee Wee tournament is like the Super Bowl. It's the biggest lights, massive arena. Was it like up until this season? Was that like the biggest moment of your hockey career?
It was, yeah. I mean, that was my answer when everybody asked me what's my biggest moment in hockey. Until that Clark Cup finals, it was definitely my biggest moment. And yeah, looking back at it, me and Adam, we were in the same billet family because we billeted by groups of two. So I was with him. I remember it was a small basement. We slept in the same bed together, Uh, I mean, as I said, I know Adam. He's a shy kid, so he needed somebody that is gonna help him, and I was always one of his better friends in hockey, so he knew me a lot. And the tournament is just a once in a lifetime experience. I remember that. I was super happy that I could go there and kind of see how everything's going in pro hockey. And actually, when I was thinking about going to play junior hockey, Quebec was one of the options, and I had those flashbacks. I was like, okay, I might go to Quebec. I mean, the facilities there and the league are just
Ooh,
great. But
yeah.
uh, yeah, the PV was an insane tournament. Adam was obviously a player that I think everybody looked at in that tournament, and I could play in his line, but I mean, that's where you probably can see what type of player he was, even from those 13 years old. When you look at that play for that first goal in that finals, he basically got the puck, went through the whole ice. I was backdoor. He passed me. I was lucky that I made the open netter, and that's basically what the situation was back then. I mean, he was just that insane type of player. So, yeah, I scored that game-winning goal, but it was basically his goal all around. I was just lucky that I was at that spot. And I'm so happy that I was a part of that tournament. It's just so many great memories.
I remember watching like a replay of that specific goal, and I just like remember thinking about like Adam's involvement, being like, "Is this like Messi on skates? Like he was just like weaving through everyone, like
I
just a little
mean, yeah.
magician." Yeah, yeah. Um, and I think one thing I wanted to like maybe build upon here as well is in the end you did not choose to go the Quebec route for junior hockey. You ended up going the US route because of I think like also your brother Andre helped you kind of direct towards like going the NCAA route and
Yeah.
perhaps the benefits of that in terms of the maturing over the course of multiple seasons and kind of growing into your game. What's the role that Andre has helped play in your development and helping like guide you as well?
Uh, I mean, his role got much bigger in the past season and in the past basically ever since I came to Muskegon, and a few weeks before that when he was a huge part of that kind of dealing and all that stuff. And that's where he got he got so much closer to my hockey career, and he helped me a lot. And he if I wanted something this season, I always called him, or I needed some information or something. He always helped me. But getting back to it, it was his decision. It was probably not his decision. It was his idea of going that college route, because obviously he went through Quebec junior leagues, and he went through that, and then he went to East Coast, and he had to fought his way all the way to the NHL. But he knew that I'm a little bit of different type of player than he was. He was always big, and I'm a skinny kid. I'm just big and skinny, and I need time. And he knew that, so he kind of got to us with that idea of college, and less games, more workout time, more time to kind of develop into a better hockey player. And I need time, which I started looking at it, and I didn't know college back then. I knew the idea about college, but I didn't know it was that type of level that I know about now. But I started looking at it. It made sense. Obviously, I knew that I need time to develop and get better off the ice and on the ice, mature a lot. And so we started looking at it, and then kind of Muskegon was kind of connection to that. So that's how it all happens. It was basically his idea. Yeah.
Alrighty, we're going to wrap up this interview very, very shortly, but first, a quick message from our sponsors here at Locked On NHL Prospects. Most people can't name all of their financial accounts or even what they're worth, whether it's 401ks, properties, or investments. And when you don't have a full picture, you can end up leaving money on the table. That is where Monarch Money comes in. It's an all in one personal finance tool that brings your entire financial life together in one clean, easy to use interface on your laptop or even on your phone. Monarch does the heavy lifting for you. You can link all of your accounts in minutes, see clear data on visuals, and get smart categorization on your spending, and finally feel in control of your money without even touching a spreadsheet. Do you have subscriptions that you forgot you're even paying for? I know that I had a couple, and as soon as I linked my accounts to Monarch, I was able to cancel a slew of them and save over $100 every single month. It really can be a life-saving tool. Don't let financial opportunities slip through the cracks. Use code LOCKEDONNHL at monarchmoney.com in your browser for half off your first year. That's 50% off your first year at monarchmoney.com with code LOCKEDONNHL. To build off of that, I mean, you've been committed to the University of Massachusetts for almost 2 years now, right? Like it's been quite a while. And Coach Greg Carvella, I'm sure, has played a very big role in not just recruiting you, but kind of keeping you linked in on what the goal is for your development. Talk me through that process of kind of like being like a UMass commit for the last 2 years and how you're feeling actually approaching going to college now in the fall.
I mean, I'm excited. That's what I'm feeling right now. I know it's a jump for sure, but it's a jump that I think I can make and I can still impact the game in some sort. And obviously, when I was deciding about UMass, the coaching staff was a huge part. I never looked at money, which money wasn't a thing back then. But I never looked at some no facilities. I always knew that I wanted something that it's gonna push me and get me better. And the coaching staff is probably the most important thing there. And I liked UMass coaching staff. I liked what Coach Carvel went through and his the guys he developed. And I know UMass can develop players that are maybe not superstars, but they're great guys and hardworking guys, and that's something I want to surround myself with. And uh, so yeah, I committed. It's basically 2 years now, and I mean the connection's good ever since then. I think me and the whole coaching staff and Coach Carvel talk a lot. He used to send me videos throughout this year that what I needed to work on, and he sent me clips and stuff like that. So right now, I'm still happy that I made that choice, and I'm excited to go there and kind of battle for my spot and see how I can impact the game and how I can get better throughout the next few years.
Any specifics on what Coach Carvel was kind of like highlighting over the course of the last year?
Uh, it's the physical game that's the biggest part. I think he
Hmm.
always wanted me to move my feet, play physical game, finish my checks, and I think that may be his part of the game that he's gonna want me to do. And I'm ready to do it. I know it's my part of the game, and I'm probably gonna be good at it. So that was that was what he was pushing me into it, and that's what I was doing. So yeah.
On the ice, how do you think that UMass Václav Nestrašil is going to diverge and change from Muskegon Václav Nestrašil stylistically?
Well, we'll see, but that's a good question. I mean, I would say I can fairly, I can change my game when it's needed. I can kind of move my game when it's needed, but I think I kind of shaped my game throughout this year, and it's kind of set. I would like to work on all sorts of stuff. Obviously, getting bigger and stronger, and playing that physical hockey. I would like to kind of show my skill game a bit more because I know it was shown, but it wasn't shown in a way I wanted to. Because I know there's a lot more in me that I can show. But I mean, if that's what I want to do, that's a good thing. But obviously, I want to do what the coach wants me to do. So we'll see how that ends up. What role I'm gonna be given, and I'm gonna do my best to kind of keep that role and do the best part of it.
And are there any like current players, whether it be in college hockey or in the NHL, that you're molding your game after a little bit?
Not really. No,
Not really.
every NHL team asks that question, like,
Of
who's your
course.
comparison, and it's kind of tough for me because I'm not looking to anybody really. I just want to shape my own game. So it may sound cocky, but I'm my own player, and that's my answer really.
It's perfectly reasonable as an answer. I also wanted to ask, like, you're heading to UMass. What's it like going to be playing on the same team as Michael Hrabal, who would have been playing like two age groups above you for like your entire time growing up as a hockey player in Czechia? Did you ever actually come up against him or play with him growing up, or is this going to be the first time?
For a little bit, for a short span of time, I was in. I mean, the system in Czech is you get basically 1 through 9th grade of hockey. Then you have like U17, U20, and I remember he was in U17. I was in ninth grade, but it was his second year in U17, and they were in the playoffs, and I was kind of training with them, practicing with them. I got one game with that U17 team, so we were basically in the same team for like 2 months. I don't think he even remembers me, but I mean we're friends now. Obviously, he knows who I am, and we talk a lot now. But that was probably the only time I played with him, and this is gonna be the first actual time I'm gonna play with him for a bit.
Got to be exciting heading into that, though. He was one of the more dominant goaltenders in college hockey this past season, too.
I mean, yeah, he's probably one of the best goalies in the whole college right now. He
For sure.
decided to stay for one more year, which I think is good for UMass, and I don't know what the decision individually for him is, but I like it. I mean, we're gonna have one of the best goalies in the whole league, and uh, he was always a factor when I decided to go to UMass because I needed some feedback, and he gave me that feedback, and so we've talked. So it's excited to have him on that team, and I hope I make a good connection with him.
Absolutely. And in terms of like personal goals for this season, I know like personal goals are different for every player. Some people have like goals of how many points they want to put up or how many minutes they want to play a night, or some people only want to be winning games night in, night out and don't care at all about the personal columns. What are your personal goals for your freshman campaign?
Uh, I mean, personally, it's sort of two things, or maybe a few things. I obviously want to make get as far as possible with the team, and that's my main goal. But individually, I think you always want to have goals for yourself too. And my goal for the next season is just to it's kind of an answer of a mature, get way bigger. That's what I want to work on. Just get bigger, get stronger. Obviously, I want to have points, but I want to set a goal on me. I just want to play my game. I just want to get better at my game. Kind of, you know, put my name up there and kind of make an impact on that game. And as I said, the end goal for me is to make it as far as possible, and the national championship possibly. So yeah.
If by year's end you got the choice to either be playing 2 minutes a night on the power play or 2 minutes a night on the penalty kill, which would you actually select?
Probably penalty kill right now, which maybe may sound crazy for people that didn't see my past season because I was never a penalty killer, but it's a part of my game that I think I do really well and I like it. So as of right now, obviously power play is a good thing, but I think I make even better impact on a penalty kill.
You're a very disruptive player on the penalty kill. Like with your reach and stuff, like whenever it was like Muskegon penalty kill and you were on the ice, the other team was not having a very good time whenever I tuned in, at least. It was
I mean,
yeah, definitely chaos in the offensive zone for the opponents.
yeah, that's what I like.
And independent of hockey itself, what are you excited about in terms of the college experience, right? Like this is a big shift for you going off to college, and what's the most exciting part of that for you?
Uh, I mean, as I said, kind of mature. I'm not a party person or somebody that will go out, but which was a part of college, obviously, that nobody really talks about. But it's the truth. But I mean, mature, and I think that's a part of why I chose college too, because obviously hockey is one thing, and it's important for me. It's a part of my life. But you want to be a good person, and you want to be a smart person, or you want to have some sort of plan B, which college gives you. It gives you a diploma at the end of the day. It gives you education, which I want, and I want to have that plan B, and I want to have connections, which is definitely going to give me, and that's what I'm going into that. So I want to be a good hockey player. I want to be the best hockey player that ever stepped there, but I also want to be a great student and kind of have that plan B if things don't work out.
And have you selected a major yet?
I'm probably gonna do sports management. It's
Cool.
something and business. Those two things. It's something that I want to kind of work with.
That's nice. Cool. And in terms of like Chicago Blackhawks fans who may not be overly familiar with you or how you play just yet, how would you describe how you play the game of hockey?
Damn, I haven't answered that question in a long time. I'm a big guy. Everybody can see that on the ice. I impact the game in sorts of any style. I can impact the game in the O zone. I can impact it in the D zone. I would say I'm a really good penalty killer. I would say somebody that I'm somebody that's trustworthy, so coach can put me in basically any sorts of situations, and I'm gonna provide. And that kind of shapes what type of player I am. I'm physical. I can do basically. I would hope that I can do basically everything that coach wants me to do.
I think it's a pretty good like summarization as someone that like tried to summarize their game many times over the course of the last year in like game reports and stuff. I think that's very self-aware analysis of your game. But that wraps up this interview on my end. I don't have any more questions here. So Václav, thank you so much for joining. I really appreciate you taking the time and very much appreciate this conversation. I think we got a lot of insight, not only on your past season, but also on your path growing up and looking at what's ahead now at UMass. I'm very excited to watch you play this year in college. I think it's going to be a whole bunch of fun there with a strong UMass program. So thank you for joining, and congratulations again on your selection by the Chicago Blackhawks and a very, very good draft eligible campaign.
Thank you so much.
All right, appreciate it so much. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.